what are the expenses of college these days?
Well, of course, you've got to pay to go to school, and that is tuition. And if you're going to go to class, you've got to have some books to go with that, so you're going to have to buy some books. I'm guessing you're going to want some hot chocolate or a Diet Coke somewhere between classes. You're going to have to pay for that. And at the end of the day, you've got to have a place to lay down your head and somebody who's going to feed you 3 meals a day. So that's room and board. So all of that together, plus the fund money you need to spend, is the sum total of what it takes to go to college.
Gotcha. And is there anything that for our viewers, if they're a college student wanting to, pay for college themselves, what can they do to kind of prepare themselves for the long haul of loans and things like that?
Well, if you don't have somebody paying for college for you, and you're not fortunate enough to do that, so you're having to take care of it yourself, you need to get busy planning. And I'd recommend that you start your planning sometime while you're in high school. Now, what you need to do is figure out what are the opportunities for me to pay for college, what are the different ways I can get college paid for. And of course, one thing you could do is just write a check if you got a great job that's allowed you to store up enough money to do that. Most folks who are going off to college haven't got that kind of money stored up, so they need to look at other opportunities. The first thing to look at is how can I get my college paid for? And of course, in Missouri, we've got the A+ program that sends students to local community college, and you can get there actually free if you've got the right kind of qualifications. And so you can get the first couple of years of school paid for, and it doesn't cost you anything. And that's a really smart way to get into your 4-year program. I think, though, that you actually need to back up before that and consider whether or not college is the right thing to do. When I was coming of age over 40 years ago, if you wanted to be successful, you went to college. I think that has changed somewhat, and there are a lot of opportunities to have successful careers that even can be lucrative that don't require you to go to college. There are trade schools. We need plumbers and electricians. But there are also people who are in the electronic space, the electronic communication space. And there's a lot that has to do with the internet and how we communicate on the internet that frankly, you don't need to go to college to learn those things. I think going to college will make you very well-rounded. It'll give you exposure to, theoretically, a lot of other things if the college will allow differing viewpoints to be communicated like they were when I was in school. But that's how to think about going to college, and then you got to figure out how to get it paid for. So we start with what grants are out there. The A+ program would be one of those. The Bright Flight program that keeps the brightest students going to school in Missouri would be another of those. And then beyond that, there are Pell Grants from the federal government and things of that nature. When you are done with grants, then we look to scholarships. There's over $100,000, no, I said that incorrectly. There's over $100 million a year in scholarships that go unclaimed because no student raised their hand and said, I'd like a scholarship, please. So I think if I were a student going back to school and wanted to have it paid for today, I would be looking for those scholarships and applying for every one that was possible, and you'd be amazed at how much money you could store up for college just applying for those scholarships. We're talking you could store up 6 figures, and that would pay for your entire college experience.
In the perspective of a parent, knowing that your child could potentially go to college, something like that, what can they do to kind of prepare for a potential college student?
Well, you could encourage your student to be applying for those scholarships would be one of the things that I would do. You just need to be sure that your kid has a good financial footing and understands what it's going to cost, how much you're going to contribute to that cost, and what they're going to be responsible for creating themselves. And then help them be successful in doing that by showing them perhaps how they look for those scholarships, helping them know that there's $100 million worth of scholarships out there. How do I look for grants? And if you don't know the answer to that question, go talk to your guidance counselor at the high school, because the guidance counselor is there to make those things happen. So there are people who care about your student being successful.